Hi friends, it's Liz here. Thank you for joining me today. I thought I would share a super fun and quick project that I made recently. I'm always thinking about different ways to send, ephemera in the mail to friends and pen pals, etc. And I have done similar projects before, but they're always a little different. So this one's a little ephemera holder made with really basic supplies, which I think you will all have. And I hope you like the project because I really enjoyed putting this together. So I have two that I'm showing you here. I just did two different kind of cover closures for them. I wasn't too happy about this one, so then I just decided to do your, standard wraparound sari silk cover. That's what I did with the one I'm going to show you. What I've done here on the front is just kind of layered a few pieces. Now I am using primarily my digitals, which I will link below. I've got my vintage Polaroids, my French letters, and then my latest, French documents with flowers. So all the ones I've used, I will link them below, but they are primarily all my digitals for this one. I had a lot of pieces that I had left over from, printing excess pieces of things, and I always like to use them up. So you can see here's my little Polaroid again. Some of the ephemera that you see also is from Taperlogy. I have an unboxing for them, and if you haven't checked out their store, there are so many lovely goodies that they carry, and I do have a coupon code for you as well, and I will link that in the description box below. Now for the background of this here that you can see, I did purchase an Artimace kit, which I absolutely love. I will also link that below. I just forgot the name of it right now. And I use that as sort of the background for, the different pockets and tuck spots that I'm going to show you. You'll actually, like I said, need just basic supplies, a scrapbook piece of paper or cardstock, I should say, and then book pages and whatever you have. So if you do happen to have some of my printables, then you'll end up, with something similar to mine as well. Here I left a kind of space for journaling or even tucking in some additional ephemera. So if I were sending this, maybe I would write a little note there so that the person receiving it always kind of has that is from me. The back of it also has an envelope that I made, and I can tuck much more, or many more pieces in the back as well. Really super fun to make, my friends. I'm just going to show you what this one looks like because like I said, I did make a couple of changes in the one I just showed you. So the closure, I wasn't too happy with it. It has similar pockets and areas to tuck things in. I love this really long vellum piece. This one also is from one of the kits that came from Taperlogy. And there's just like so many ephemera packs. They have coffee stained ephemera, my friends. Oh my gosh, that's like one of my favorites. And then this, I had kind of tied it closed and made something similar as well, like I showed you in the other one, but the closure didn't allow for a pocket in the back, and I kind of wanted a pocket in the back. So just the different ways, of course, that you can change yours up, but I'm just going to show you the basic, construction of it. I'm sure you're going to love it. And as always, I ask, if you do make one, please let me know, tag me. I would love to see the inspiration that you have created. All right, so let's get going to make one. So the first thing you're going to need is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So on the 11-inch side, we're going to score it at 4.5 and then at 9. And that's the only score lines that you need. So 4.5 inches and then at 9 inches, okay? Okay, so then it ends up looking like a little envelope, like a little, kind of folio. So I make sure that my score lines are nice and crisp. And then I'll take my decorative paper and then just start kind of covering it up. So for this one, I'm going to be using some book pages. And then, of course, my printables that I mentioned. These are my latest ones. These are the floral French documents. And then I also have the other set, which is like landscape and not portrait. And I'm thinking I might do, something with these ones as well, kind of different from the one I showed you that I originally made. But we'll see how it goes. So at this point, I'm just going to be cutting up my pieces and just kind of covering up my paper. The reason also I'm not too specific about the measurements is because you can kind of adapt this to whatever paper you have. Here I'm showing you, this is the one image from Artie Mace that I'm using from her kit, and I'll be using that as the background. So I'm going to show you that as well. I'll cut everything up and then I'll show you how I'm just putting it down because I don't want to waste time cutting things and, you know, gluing as you're watching the video. So I have cut my pieces to size for the cover, and I just make sure I leave a little kind of edge to form a frame around my printable. I don't like to cover it up completely. I want to see a little bit of, you know, the paper I'm using as the base. And you can see here, I've just, you know, made sure that I had the part of the images that I wanted to be the actual, the cover. And making sure that it's adhered properly. I just want to double check that, you know, the glue has adhered to everything. This is my favorite glue. I usually get asked, and so I just wanted to show you. I will have links to all my favorite supplies in the description box below. But if you have any questions, always you can leave them and I will get back to you. So I went ahead and covered the inside as well. Now this is the page from the Artie Mace kit that I mentioned. I just recently purchased that and I love it. I'm using it in so many projects, and I will also link that one below if you're interested. So now for the back, this was the part that I thought was going to be really fun because for the original one, I used my digital here that is the portrait mode, right? So it's like top to bottom, and I'm just trying to figure out if I wanted to do that again to make my envelope. So then I thought maybe I would use the other printable that's sort of more like on the landscape, and then maybe open up the envelope a little different. So like this is also from my kit that I mentioned. So I'm thinking, do I want it to be this way, or do I like the original design that I had? So I might stick to the original one, simply because if I put it this way, because of the way I had to cut the borders off of my page, it makes it a little too short. As you can see, if I were to put it like this, there's just way too much of the background paper peeking through, and I don't really want that. So I'll go ahead and use my original one, which is the landscape one. Or is that portrait? I'm so confused. The top to bottom one, not the one that goes side to side, if that makes sense to you. So the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to fold one of the sides up just enough to kind of make the pocket for the envelope. And then I'll bring the flap down to make the envelope flap, right? Easy to make envelopes. We made these before. These are fun to do as well. And then the other thing that I thought about was, depending on the quality of paper that you use, then it'll actually feel more like envelope paper or a little bit thinner as well. So for this one, I just used, I think it's just regular photocopy paper, because I did want the feel of the envelope to be a little bit thinner, like the paper. And then the only other thing that I wanted to do is to fold a little bit of the flap over to reinforce the envelope flap, you know what I mean? But by doing so, of course, I kind of didn't do it straight. So I'm just going to go ahead and fix that. And I think this works out to be about 1/2 inch if you score this on your scoreboard. So it's about a 1/2 inch fold that I'm making it so that it reinforces my envelope flap. Okay, so I just fixed it just to show you. And I will be gluing this side of the paper down to make our envelope pocket. So I thought I would leave this just in case some of you, you know, haven't seen the envelope making piece before. And then my flap that I used to reinforce the, you know, envelope flap, just like I said, I just kind of folded that over to reinforce it a little bit and make it a little bit sturdier, because it will be opening and closing a lot once I start tucking things in. And then the other thing that's just left to do is to glue the envelope completely onto my cover. Now, if I wanted to leave an additional pocket, I would only glue on 3 sides, but I wanted to just make sure it was just glued right onto the page there. So you can see how nice it's looking, and I just love these quick and easy folios. The next thing we're going to do is add our side pocket, which has like really 3 pockets in one. the one on the left side. And all I'm using for this is a book page. And it really is one of the best things to use, I think, because then you don't waste a lot of your paper. You know, you don't need to fold your scrapbook paper and kind of lose some pieces. Use what you have. I love to use my book page scraps, and then I sort of decorate those pages afterwards. I also like the color of the book page because, you know, it's got that kind of creamy tone to it. And so it's not stark white or whatever pattern it is that I'm printing. So it's not like too much pattern, if you know what I mean. And all I'm doing here is folding the page like twice, right? So fold it once and then fold that little over to make that little tuck. And then I'm just going to, you know, decorate it and then glue everything down. So I think for this part, you'll just be able to see me kind of see what I'm doing and sort of get the idea of how this came together. So as you can see, I'm just taking some extra scraps from a previous project, and I'll just be using that to cover up the text on the book pages. I usually say be careful with your, you know, when you're using book pages, because you don't want, you know, inappropriate words popping out of your project once you're finished. But because for this particular project, I'm making sure I cover up all the text, then I don't really have to worry about what it says or anything about that, which is one of the other things I love about, you know, using book pages sort of like as a background. And this is going to work nicely. So I'm just going to continue and just cover all those words up. I hope you're all doing well. We've had some fun this weekend with my daughter. We ended up going to our local library book sale. And I had some, you know, previous appointments kind of scheduled for the day. And so I thought I had left enough time for us to make it. And basically we ended up arriving about 45 minutes before they were going to stop the sale. But before we walked in, one of the librarians said that, you know, because of the closeness of the time, that at this point everybody could just grab a bag and load it up for, you know, with whatever you wanted for like $5. So my daughter was so happy, of course, because, you know, we'd both gone in looking for specific things. I went straight to the craft section, and I had like a blast just grabbing books that I thought I could use for, you know, various junk journal projects. And of course, you know, I'm thinking like, oh, how much can I carry? First of all, because it was a lot of books. And also, you know, the bags themselves, they weren't really that big. So we ended up getting a few bags between us, just loaded with books that I'll be enjoying reading, and of course, you know, cutting up and using in my projects. But I couldn't get over, you know, being able to get some of the items. And also here we were thinking that we were so late and that, you know, we weren't going to find very much. And then of course it was so great to hear that we could just grab a bag and load it up and, you know, put in as many books as we wanted. So we both came out very happy, needless to say. All right, getting back to the project here, the next part that I did is I just added a little tuck spot at the top, like an additional pocket. Again, I'm just using a scrap piece of book paper, and then this is going to sort of reinforce the, you know, the decorated paper that I'll be adding to the top. So that just gives my, you know, page a little bit more reinforcement to become a pocket. And like I said, I love using book pages for that, sort of using them as reinforcements for, you know, paper that I print my digitals on as well. So I hadn't thought about exactly how I wanted this to look when I was putting it together. And I should have covered the entire text somehow. I do go back to that. And like I said, it's just grabbing whatever I have and just trying to, you know, come up with a little bit of embellishment that's also flat, because the intention of this was to keep it as flat as possible so that if I do end up loading it up with ephemera, then I can load a lot of it up and it won't be so bulky when I'm sending it out. So you can just see here, I'm just adding glue to the entire part because I'm just attaching it to the book page, which I've already sort of glued down as a pocket. I did cut this doily in half just to decorate this piece a little bit more, but then I'm seeing that I can kind of see the words through the doily, so I'm just going to kind of collage a little bit on top of that book page so that I don't see many of the words once I'm done. I hope that you enjoyed this quick project. I do have several tutorials on my channel, many craft with me videos, and I will link those below if you haven't seen them. So I'm working on a few projects. I will actually show you a little sneak peek at the end of this video of another one that I've been working on. And I did want to mention, keep an eye out on my shop for the next little while, because I'll probably be updating listings and items in the shop before I'm able to make the video. So I know some of you have asked before, if there is a way to know if I have something coming up. So what I'll try and do is I will probably mention it on Coffee before I actually have a video ready, because this way it sort of gets everything going that, if you want to know before the video comes up, then you'll be alerted through Coffee that I have new items in the shop, and then you'll get a chance to get those before, they're gone. I am looking at getting some holiday themed items, some ephemera packs, really loving putting some pieces together. So I hope you also like that as well. Here, I'm just showing you that, the pocket is done. And now we're going to do the bottom one. And so the difference of the one I made and the one I showed you is I did use a book page. I folded it up and then I covered up the book page to, give me some, decorative spots on the front. But then on the inside, I wanted a little bit of writing area. But what I decided to do for this one is just use one of my printables, because this way I've got the decorative part on the top, and then I can just do the coffee staining sort of like paper on the inside. So this again is from one of my printables. I think this is, I forgot the name of it, coffee stained vintage doilies, I believe. Again, I will link all that below. And all I did is cut up a little piece to make that, flip up, that can open up all the way. And I'm just going to add this ticket as a closure. The one I showed you at the beginning of the video, I had tied it up with string. And so I found that that was not giving me the extra pocket space. So again, just to have that extra pocket space, I'm just going to add glue to 3 sides of this piece of paper. And then I'll have that top sort of pocket on the back. And when we add this little ticket, then that will help with the closure. And then I don't have to be bothered with the, tying of the string. I like the look, but I found it a little bit, just sort of it got in the way of everything else I was thinking of doing. Now, if you have any ideas what you would add to the thinner, closure of this, so like the part that folds over where I haven't really decorated, let me know. I'm trying to think maybe of just adding some tiny little pockets there on the right side. We'll see how that goes. But so far, I like how this has turned out. So you see I've got my pocket in the back, my little writing space on the inside. And then now it's just about the closure. And what I mentioned I decided to do was to just use some sari silk on this one. I didn't want to add anything to it. Okay, so as I was filming the decoration of the cover, I'm not sure what happened. I can't find that part of the video, so I'm just going to show you what I did. I added a doily and a little piece of, just sort of different types of pockets here in the front, and just embellished it a little bit. The back is left as it was. And as I mentioned, I will just be using sari silk to close this, just tying it around, and that's it. I'm not sure what happened to my video. I filmed it, but I must have accidentally deleted it. I'm not sure. But I hope that, this sort of gives you ideas on what you could do with your closures, as well as how you can decorate your covers. Now, if you stay till the end, I'm going to show you a sneak peek of the next project we're working on. And I also have another one-page wonder coming up really soon. So keep an eye out for that if you like those types of videos on my channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for stopping by.